Welcome to Bear Down Ballers. I'm your host, AJ Bramlett. Got my man Ryan Wall with me again this week. And hey, what a start to the tournament it was, my man. What were your thoughts on the first games?
Yeah, the first game, they got off to a little bit of a slow start. Wright State stayed in for a little bit, but 17-point win. Some people I saw were saying like, "Oh, you only beat a 16 seed, can't beat them by 20," which normally happens. But I think all in all, it was a good game. I mean, Arizona shot the ball; they were excellent there, which they have been. They weren't so against TCU, but they shot it over 50% from three, over 50% from the field, and 83 from the line. So I thought it was a really good performance overall. What do you think about it, AJ?
Yeah, I thought it was a great win. I mean, Wright State was tough. I mean, they played well. They were, superbly undersized for that game, and so, I thought it was just a matter of time before we, were able to pull away in that game. But the first game of the tournament is hard to win, man, and there's a lot of stuff going on. Energy wise and getting used to the atmosphere and, the nerves that you have for that first game. And it usually takes a little while to settle in. So overall, I thought it was a really good performance. I thought, we played hard, extremely hard the whole game, and we're able to make the plays that we needed to make. And, Wright State was tough. I'm going to give them a little bit of credit too, because those guys were playing their asses off. So it was a really good start to the tournament. And, I thought they did well to get that victory.
Yeah, so yeah, we know Kerr didn't play in that game, but let's just move on and talk about one of the best games in all of college basketball this season. One of the best I've ever been at or seen. I was there, incredible environment, crazy atmosphere. We know Arizona won in overtime, 85-80. Christian Coloco, Benedict Mathurin combined for 58 points. Benedict Mathurin hit the three with 12 seconds left to tie it before heading to overtime. I mean, AJ, what'd you think about this one?
Oh man, like I tweeted this out on on Sunday night that now I understand how fans feel when they can't control any part of the game and you just want them to win so badly, and you know what I mean. And that was a tough game. I mean, TCU from the jump came out with really great energy. They had the belief that they could win. You could tell that. The way that Lampkin played that entire game was like, man, somebody just keep this guy off the boards. But he was playing extremely well. And Mike Miles is a tough competitor. Like that whole team, I mean, they crashed offensive boards, probably better than almost any team that we played this year. And they, not that they had, great size, but their effort and the angles at which they were kind of attacking the offensive glass really caused some problems for us all night long. And, there was times that during that game where, a team could have panicked, and our guys didn't panic at all. They stayed with it. I think they listened, and you heard it after the game. Coach Lloyd just said, "Stay with it. Keep playing our game, and things are going to start to change." And they did that, but there were so many big plays in the game, man, made by someone. Obviously, if CeeLo doesn't have the first half that he has, you know what I mean. That's going to be a huge deficit at halftime. I think by the way that TCU was playing, DT, the way that he played, and the big plays, he didn't score a lot, and he had a kind of an even game, 5 assists though and 5 steals, but offensively nothing was bigger to me in my opinion than that three he made to tie it up.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, two
second
two
half.
twenty 220 left, in the game, down by three.
Yeah.
Dalen gets it wide open on the wing and bangs it down to tie it up. I mean, that shot was so big, and that's another thing why this game is such a weird game to discuss, AJ, because the stats aren't all that good. Arizona did turn the ball over 35 times in the last two games. That's not great. The shooting
Right.
numbers weren't great, but in a big game, it's not about numbers. It's about your guys, your best players need to hit the shots when they did. And Mathurin was 3 for 11 from three, but he hit that one from about 5 feet behind the line, to tie it up. Like, what'd you think about that shot before we get into the overtime a little bit? What'd you think about how big that shot? And what were you thinking when he took that? There's about 12 seconds left.
Well, let's go back a little bit before we even get to that shot. Like Ben, I mean, Ben was incredible, man. Like he made every play that we needed him to make. You know what I mean? Whether it was, offensive rebound, or it was, offensive rebound putback, or layup on the fast break, a big shot he made. And like at the end of that last shot, when I was screaming, like, get the ball back to Ben, get the ball back to Ben, and then we'll just live with whatever happens. You know what I mean? And nobody took a bad shot in that last possession. They ran the ball, moved it side to side, got the defense moving. And then once, CeeLo came up to set that screen, it caused some confusion with Mike Miles, you know what I mean? And Ben made the exact right play. And just when he held that follow through, man, and, that went in all net, all net, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
I
was going
mean,
crazy. So
yeah,
it was huge, man. It was
yeah,
huge.
the best players, need to come up in the biggest moments when the lights are the brightest. And, he did. And I think he's continuing to just prove that he is a top 3 to 5 player in college basketball. I mean, who have you seen so far in the tournament, put up stats like that and lead your team to victory? He played in 41 minutes. Terry played 42 minutes. These guys are playing their heart out. And the crazy part about this game was, AJ, if we go back a little bit more, about 8-10 minutes left in the game when they were down 6 to 8 points, the team literally seemed like the life was just sucked out of them. It
Yeah.
really, like, they were taking bad shots. Their shots just weren't falling. Terry missed a layup. It seemed, for me at least, it was the first time I was really nervous for this team this year. Because they've lost a few games here and there, but guys were injured, different circumstances. But in this big of the moment, what were you thinking when they were down by that margin with about 10 left?
Yeah, I mean, I had belief though, man. I just felt like we were going to pull the game out, even when, we were down. And, they kept fighting. They kept fighting. And we weren't making our shots. I mean, we went on that run where we started to push it out a little bit. And I was like, okay, here it is. Like, we're going to start pushing up to 15 or 20, and we're going to get these guys off the table. And it just didn't happen. They just kept battling back and, making shots. We made some mistakes. We got kind of stuck into shooting a lot of threes for a little bit part of that game, and weren't going down. But I believed in our guys, and Ben is right now. I mean, he's probably the best player in the country. He's playing the best basketball right now. Like I was looking around and thinking about the tournament and other players on other teams, and the performance the other night was one of the best in the tournament so far, if not the best one. And so, he's and making those big plays. Like, he didn't just do it in one fashion. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
It
We, we,
wasn't
we
just a
didn't
three at the end. It wasn't.
we forgot to mention, Bryce, the craziest play and the dunk of the year. I'm just gonna say
Yeah.
right here, when,
Yes.
so if we just set the play up, Kerr had the ball at the top of the key. He passed it to Koloko, and an underrated part, Koloko had the ball in the post. Ben cut to the basket and he did a little handoff kind of pass. And he just, oh my
Oh,
God. Like, what'd you think about
that
that
was
play?
ridiculous. I lost my mind, man. I was going crazy. Like, you don't see those type of dunks, very often, where it's just body to body and going over, such a big, defender like Lampkin too. And just that Lampkin had been kind of chirping all game and talking noise all game. So for Ben to get that, I thought that was a huge turning point in the game. And just he really gave us an energy, lift. They came back after that again, you know what I mean? We'll give
Yeah.
them credit. But I thought when that happened, I was like, oh man, we're going to start getting them now. We did, but TCU is a really good team, and so they matched up fairly well with us. I thought we could have got the ball inside maybe a little bit more. CeeLo was unstoppable basically the entire game. One of his best offensive performances, and efforts that he's had all season. And I want to give him credit too for that last play. Before the overtime when he double teamed, with Dalen Terry, and he got Mike Miles. And that's hard for a big guy to do. Like, people can look at that and be like, okay, he played good defense, but to be able to move your feet that well at that
7-1.
size, you know what I mean? And cut off the sideline, force him back, to the middle of the court. And, everybody was kind of pissed off they thought it was a foul. I thought he flopped, you know what I mean? I thought
I think
that,
it might have
I
been
thought he played good
backcourt
defense.
too.
Me too. Me too. So, I think the refs did a good job in that situation, just kind of letting it go. But, you got to give CeeLo a ton of credit for him, battling Lampkin all game long, never giving up. And, even on some and ones that he got, Lampkin got emotional and kind of talked some stuff to CeeLo. He stuck with it. He played well. And then he came through, at the very, very end when we needed a basket as well.
Yeah, I mean, you just talked about it and broke it down, but I don't think enough good things can be said about this performance from Christian Coloco. I mean, 28 points, 12 for 13 from the field, 12 rebounds, 3 blocks, a steal. I think this was his best game, probably, as a Wildcat, period. Because AJ, I mean, he had 18 in the first half. He was
Yeah.
carrying this team in the first half. Ben wasn't that great in the first half. I believe might have had about 10-ish. But he came on in the second half and led that team, led Arizona back. But if Coloco wasn't dominating in that first half, they got off to an 8, TCU got off to an 8-0 lead, to start the game when then Coloco just had an out of body experience. He looked like Shaq out there. He was like he was just incredible. I mean, what else can you say about that? What do you
Yeah,
think
no,
about that?
that's what I meant. I mean, without him having that first half that he had, we would have been in trouble because the way that TCU was playing and the way that we were kind of shooting the ball, from the perimeter in the first half, we would have had a huge deficit at halftime. And CeeLo, every time we got the ball, he was offensive rebounded, he was finishing his shots, and he was knocking down free throws, and just his defense and his just will really showed through in this game. And I was extremely happy for him because he's such a good guy, and his game has expanded so much this year that we've seen that through the regular season. Now everyone got to see it on a national stage in the biggest game of the night, and the best game of the tournament so far, in my opinion. So, CeeLo, we need him to keep playing like that. I think that he will, and I think the Houston game, and we'll discuss that, I'm sure, coming up. But the him having those kind of performances, we're going to continue to need, especially against Houston, where I think he's going to have a size advantage against some of their guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's safe to say right now, I don't think there's a better big man in the country than Christian Coloco. I mean, he he's just shown the ability to be more consistent and, to put up numbers like that in that big of a game and that moment is just incredible. But, towards the end of the game, after we talked about Dalen Terry had that huge steal. That was, I mean, that's the thing because I was talking about stats. It's like Dalen Terry made two of the biggest plays, probably two of the three biggest plays in the entire game. I mean, if you want to say like Matherin, obviously that three would be number one. But Terry's three, we talked about with 2 minutes left, and then that steal at the end. I mean, that was huge. Did you think that was in real time? You think that was going to count? I mean,
I
that
did.
place was exploding.
Yeah, I mean, you were there, so you could talk a little bit, a little bit about what that was like. But I knew it wasn't good, man. Like I could tell, he didn't quite get it off. I was like, oh, just let it go. But in the moment at the time, it's just a
And
split second.
he was moving so fast.
Yeah, he couldn't have done anything else. And he tried his best. He was right there. Would have been a hell of an ending to the game, if that would have went through. But it was still a great play to negate their last opportunity to even get a shot off. Before overtime. So, it was a great defensive play for us and really, facilitated obviously the overtime opportunity. And then, I thought we played very well in the overtime.
Yeah, well, AJ, let's move on. First Sweet 16 in over 4 years for Arizona. They look to move on to the Elite Eight for the first time since 2014. But they're gonna have to play number 5, a tough Houston team. This Thursday in San Antonio. And Houston, they had a beatdown of Illinois. Everyone assumed Illinois was gonna get past them and maybe a rematch with Arizona, but Houston's defense is incredible. They held, Illinois to under, 35% from the field and 24 from three. I mean, how do you think they'll match up with Arizona?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the numbers and the Ken Palm and all that stuff, right? They're giving Houston a 60% chance or whatever, close to that to beat us. And I think we're gonna get it done. I do. But Houston's tough. I mean, like you said, they're aggressive defense, they trap, they cause a lot of turnovers. We're gonna have to be extremely strong with the basketball. We're gonna have to get guys, not waiting on passes, coming to the passes all year long, all game long. But I think this is a game also where if we can dominate inside and use our size, like we're quicker, athletic teams. But I think we have a size advantage inside. I think CeeLo's playing great basketball. Balo played great the other night, did in his limited time. And then if we can get Azulis, having a strong game on the offensive end, I think we're going to be in good shape. Now it's going to be, like I said, for the last game, it's not going to be any kind of blowout. I don't think it's not going to be where we run away with it, but I think we have enough to get done. And our guys proved last game that in the biggest of moments, they can make plays, and it's not just one guy. It's pretty much all of them.
Yeah, and I think it's just like insulting at this point for Ken Palm to rank Houston, number 2 in the country behind Gonzaga, and then Arizona 3. I mean, what else do you want an Arizona team to do?
Right.
I just feel like they've been disrespected all year long, and I think Houston's a good team, but I don't think they have enough firepower on the offensive end. I think their 3-point shooting. I think they're not that great. Arizona hasn't been great, but I think Arizona has the edge there when they're hitting shots. I mean, because Arizona wasn't good from 3, but Kirk Kriisa was 1 for 10 from 3. So he took 3 straight threes that he shouldn't took late in the game. I think Tommy has to be on him about that now, and just tell him to be smarter with that stuff, because it's
Yeah.
good to take shots, but you got to know when the right moment is. Because
I
I
love.
mean, if he takes 5 of those, see if he stopped shooting when after he took 5, Arizona could have been a different place.
Yeah, but the other thing about that is, those a couple of them were contested, and he was forced to take maybe 1 or 2 at the end of the shot clock where he was past the ball late in the shot clock. But the 3 at the end that he took in consecutive shots, I didn't think were bad shots at all, and I think he should have taken them. And the reason why that is because when you stop shooting when people are expecting you to shoot, that's worse than missing the actual shot, because if Ben knew that he was going to shoot that ball, so Ben got in position to get that offensive rebound, put it back up, and get the and one because he knew that Kerr was going to shoot it. Like when you start hesitating and then messing up the flow of the offense, a lot of times that's worse than actually taking the shot. And they were wide open. I mean, he didn't make any of them, but they were wide open. I want him to keep shooting. Now, a couple of those he dribbled in and shot
Yeah,
some.
AJ, I get what you're saying. I 100% do that.
Yeah,
When you don't shoot, you lose confidence, and then the defense knows that. But it's like, on the other hand, it's like, what point do you stop when you're 1 for 12? Like when do you? All I'm saying is I think there needs to be a point where he has to get to where it's like if he's 1 for 9, then it's like maybe I should try to find someone else before I shoot.
yeah, I get it. I get it. But I've ride and die with him all year long. So I'll tell you, it's worked out so far. You know what I mean? And so, and obviously with the ankle, him, just give him credit for even playing, because you could tell that it was bothering him a lot. He was in pain, and he wasn't able to move as he normally would. And that obviously affects your shot. But hopefully that we can get him. He's getting treatment. I know he's getting treatment, and Justin's doing a good job on him this week. And hopefully he can feel better for Thursday and be a little bit more mobile. But I think he's still the heart and soul of the team, and even having him out there, I think, was a big boost to the guys.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. The first time he checked into the game off the bench in the first half, the crowd went crazy, and he did spark some energy into the team. Yeah, I do expect. I'd be surprised if he doesn't start against Houston. I mean, he should, and I still would hope Kyers would get some minutes. I mean, he's been
Oh,
great
for
this
sure.
year.
Justin's done
Um,
well.
but yeah, AJ, before when this releases, it's going to be the morning of the game. So any final thoughts before first Sweet 16 in a few years?
It's just exciting time to be an Arizona Wildcat, man. I keep saying that, but it's true. The season has been incredible for the fans. This team is one that is easy to get behind and follow, and it's just been a ton of fun, man. And the game the other night was a hard, it was heart wrenching, but they pulled it out, man. And we got guys that are tough. We got guys that are together, and I expect us to keep going. I expect us to keep rolling through this thing, and it's not going to be an easy task the other night, but against Houston, but I think we're going to get it done, and I have confidence in our guys.
Yeah, well, AJ, I just want to get your, because your updated kind of thought. If they beat Houston, they would play, on Saturday. They would play the winner of 11, Michigan versus 2 Villanova. How do you think a matchup with either of those teams would
Well,
go?
I'm sure Michigan's looking at it like, hey, we want a rematch and try to get some revenge for what happened earlier in the year. But I think that we match up well with Michigan, no matter if we play them again. I think will play well against them. Villanova obviously is tough. They played, pretty good early in the season. I watched them at UCLA. I've watched them throughout the season. They're tough. They're gritty. They play hard. But either one of those teams, there's not a team in a tournament that we can't beat. And so it just really is up to us on how we're shooting the ball, how we're defending, and cutting down on our turnovers like we always say every single game. Because like you said earlier, 17 and 18 turnovers, like a lot of times you're not going to get out of a game with a win when you have that high of turnovers. So if we can cut that down a little bit, and take better care of the basketball, I don't see any reason why we can't keep this thing rolling.
Yeah, I think Michigan would obviously be the easier matchup. Jay Wright's been for Nova's been one of the best coaches in college basketball throughout the last 5 years. I think that would be a tougher matchup, but I still think Arizona has the edge. I think Arizona just has better guards. They're more physical inside, and I think they could dominate the paint. So I really do see a good shot. To be going to for Arizona to be heading to New Orleans next weekend for the Final Four. But AJ, tell us who we have a second appearance from a great guest next. Who is it?
Oh yeah, my guy, my brother is going to check back in, let us know how everything has been going this year. He's been following the team all year long. My brother from another mother for 25 years plus years. JT, Mr. Jason Terry will be joining us next on Bear Down Ballers. Today's episode of Bear Down Ballers is sponsored by Honey, the easiest way to save money when shopping on your phone or computer. Have you ever been in this spot? You're shopping for something online, you get to checkout, and when it asks you for a promo code, you start Googling, try. Oh my God.
Catching you up.
The Googling trying is getting me right now.
Yeah. Slow down a little.
Okay. All right, I'm ready. Ready?
Yep, go.
Today's episode of Bear Down Ballers is sponsored by Honey, the easiest way to save money when shopping on your phone or your computer. Have you ever been in this spot? You're shopping for something online, you get to checkout, and when it asks you for a promo code, you start Googling, trying to find a way to save some money. Thanks to Honey, manually searching for coupon codes is a thing of the past, because Honey is the free tool that scours the internet for you and finds the best one that fits your cart. Here's how it works. You're shopping, you check out, the Honey button pops up, you click apply coupons, you wait a few seconds, you watch the price you pay go down. My kids are always in need of things for school, sports, and entertainment, and I use Honey to save valuable money for my family. So if you don't already have Honey, you could be straight up missing out. By getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid and supporting this show. I'd never recommend something I don't use. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/March Madness. That's joinhoney.com/March Madness. All right, welcome to Bear Down Ballers. I'd like to welcome back my man who kicked off the podcast earlier this year, my brother for over 30 years, my guy, the Jet, the NBA champion, Jason Terry. What's up, man?
Man, what's good? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. So seems like we were just in here, man. The season's been flying by, and just want to check in with you, see how things are going. I know you're up in the Grand Rapids right now. We're coaching the Grand Rapids Gold, doing a heck of a job up there. But wanted to ask you a couple things go back and ask you a couple things about your time at Arizona and the NBA, and then we'll jump into your current stuff. But this is what I wanted to ask you. I didn't ask you last time, and I know maybe the answer to this, but who were some of the guys when you were at Arizona that you got up to play, that were your rivals, that really you liked to battle the most when you were playing at Arizona?
Man, for me, no doubt it was UCLA and Baron Davis. He brought the best out of me. Watching him grow up, in California. I'm from Seattle, so just that whole element. It really turned into a little rivalry for me, and at Arizona and then on into the pros. He was always just a tough competitor, man. He never backed down. He was fierce as they come. Also, I would say Andre Miller. We got to play against him twice in college.
Yep.
We beat them once, and then they got us, obviously, on that second run. But Andre Miller's another one that turned into a rivalry for me as well.
So Barron, like what was tough about Barron, man? I know from my perspective, but I didn't have to guard him that much, except for some switches and some doubles. So what was so tough about going against him?
Who say that one more time, Zach?
Barron, what was it? What was tough about matching up with him?
Well, if you think about it, Barron and Andre, it was their size. Like I know I was 165, soaking wet. Those guys definitely were 200. And, just their physicality, the way they played the game. They were kind of like throwback guards, but they also had some explosiveness to them. BD had a quick burst. Obviously, his athleticism. He put my boy Bookman, Brian Brown from UW on the poster.
I remember that.
I think he might have caught Mike D too.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he caught Diesel, man. But Diesel caught a bunch of bodies himself. But no, just his athleticism and his physical strength is what gave me the most problems.
Yeah, both those guys, heck of a players, had great NBA careers. Like when you were in the league, like who were those same guys? Like who were the guys that you looked down the schedule and you were like, okay, this next 2 weeks I got so and so and so and so. I'm bringing it tonight. I know you went out there and played hard every night, but who were the ones that you looked at that matchup and you were like, hey, it's time to go?
Well, you got to remember when I got baptized by AI in the New York, where me and Kelvin Ifan sat over there for 5 minutes in the first half, literally going over the scout report on AI saying, listen, man, we're not falling for that crossover, man. He said, when Coach O put you in, don't reach. And as soon as I got in, man, it was like nightmare because it was me and him one-on-one top of the key. And he went to the crossover move. I reached and he just left me at half court. It was awful. So, for me, it was AI, definitely. Like you wasn't going out the night before. You was getting your rest, your massage, you was eating good. Like you was really, really getting your rest for that night. And then also Stephon Marbury. Marbury's one of those guys. Now, I don't know if he makes the Hall of Fame or not, but his impact on our game is unbelievable. Like his strength, his skill level, the ability to score at will. Like Marbury and AI were two guards that were in a class of their own. And then there's like one that you would never expect. And he just always used to get me in trouble with like Avery Johnson in the scouting report because, it was like Earl Boykins. He was just
yes, sir.
Man. I just couldn't guard him. Like,
yeah.
And you're not going to think he's going to pull up, but he's going to pull up. And he was quick. But, man, I used to get chewed out on the film session after we played him because he burned me up.
I played with Earl in Cleveland, man. And, he was so strong, man. He benched like 350, 360. Right. And people thought that they could post him up. They try to take him down the post. He put that little arm on you like that.
Right.
You wouldn't be able to move at all, man. Earl was something else, man.
Earl was tough, man. Toughest competitors they come at that size.
Yes, sir. So let's jump into your G League season. I know, we talked before the season started and, it's your first opportunity in the G League to really run your own team and your own program. And you've had a tremendous amount of success this year. And, I just wanted to talk to you about, how that's gone for you, what you've learned so far. And then, kind of touch on, your relationship with Isaiah Thomas and Lance Stevenson and those guys. And then just see how everything's going. But how has it been for you so far, man?
Well, it's just been a great experience when you're talking about being a leader of a program and, having to have those responsibilities every single day, not only responsible for your team and your players, but your staff as well. It's just experience that you can't get. No one can tell you how to be a head coach. You have to be a head coach to gain that valuable experience. And I've been able to do so here in Grand Rapids this year. Right now, we stand in the 5th seed for the playoff race. It's a tight race, but we have 4 games remaining. And if everything goes the way it's planned, then we'll be in the playoffs in their inaugural season. So that's an accomplishment of itself. But, for those that don't know, the G League is designed to give guys opportunities to take their game to the next level and possibly get called up, on a 2-way contract or called up for the remainder of the season or, like a couple of my guys on multiple 10-day contracts with the NBA teams, not just the Nuggets, but any team. And so for us, though we've had some success, in the win column, our biggest success and our biggest achievement is sending 7 guys up to get called up. I mean, Davon Reed, Nick Stauskas, Isaiah Thomas, Lance Stevenson, Mario Chalmers. Those are some of the guys that got called up, on our watch. And, one thing about it is it's a compliment to those guys because they came in focused, ready, determined to get back to the league. But also our staff, because one thing about it is when you bring new guys into the fold, there's a period of time where you have to kind of massage your other guys and let them know, like, look, your opportunity's not going away. We just need you in a different role. And getting guys to buy into their role and trust the system, it was probably the most challenging part of our job. But I give our guys all the credit in the world because, they never lost confidence. They continued to grind. And it's crazy because now we have 0 guys on our team with NBA experience. And these young guys have to step up, and they're doing a darn good job of it.
What do you, in your opinion, what is the, some of the few most important skills that the guys in the G League need to have to make that jump? I've had Nick Johnson was on a couple of weeks ago, and he was very successful in the G League, had a really good stint there, and we talked about that. In your opinion, right now in today's current NBA, what does it look like? What do those guys need to have in their toolbox to be able to be successful at the next level in the NBA?
Well, one thing it is you have to be able to identify what is your elite skill set. For some guys, it's shooting. Other guys, you're a defender. You may be an elite penetrator, a guy that can facilitate and create for others. Whatever that elite skill is, you have to tap into that, and you have to do that consistently at the highest level every single night you come out and perform. And, one thing about it is once you have that elite skill set, it's all about the mentality. If you have a dominant mentality and a confidence about yourself and how you go about your business, then you will get a shot at the next level. And if I go back and talk about, I know you mentioned Isaiah Thomas. I mean, think about this guy. I mean, he was a perennial all-star, a guy that was tops in the league in scoring, took his team to the Eastern Conference Finals. And, here we are 5 or 6 years later, and he's looking for a job. Yeah. We were blessed and fortunate enough to have a spot and to give him an opportunity, but he took full advantage of it. I mean, he came right in. I mean, he averaged 45 points a game in 6 games that he played with us. And he ended up getting 4 10-day contracts and then signed for the rest of the year. But it wasn't a situation where he came in and he had to figure out who he was and what it was. He's a spark plug. He's an engine that runs the ship, and, he can fill it up. And he came out every single night and did that. And that's why he got the opportunity he did, because he realized who he was and how he could be of value to a team. And he got some great leadership skills. When you're a guy that's older in your years and you're a veteran now, and though you can score it, they got guys that can do that. What else do you bring to the table? What are the intangibles? And for Isaiah, he finally tapped into the leadership role and bought into that. And you can see it paying off for him now with the Charlotte Hornets and their young backcourt.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw he got signed for the rest of the year, which is great. He deserves it. How did he accept? How did he embrace that? Like, how did he, take the guys kind of under his wing? Because, I mean, his story is unique to the league, man. I think, he from a guy coming from that high up to, having to fight his way back in and getting back in the way that he did, like, that's something that's inspiring, I'm sure, to, a lot of your young guys. But in what ways did he, kind of embrace that leadership role? I was always interested about that during the season.
Yeah, it was huge because he had to come right into a situation where he never practiced with us. He didn't know anybody in the locker room, but it was, one, he did it with his actions, but then 2, he was able to do it with his words and how he communicated with each guy. And he gained that respect instantly. He was an extension of me on the court, and that's what you want out of the point guard position. If you're going to be a leader, 1, you have to do it by example, and then 2, you have to be vocal. You have to command the room. And instantaneously, when he stepped on the floor, he commanded the room, and those guys respected him because of how hard he played, and he backed up every word that he meant.
Yeah, I mean, you did a heck of a job with him. I'm sure it was a blessing to have him, as well as, Lance Stephenson's another guy, what I mean, that, I think has, done a really good job of pushing his way back into the league and, playing good basketball and kind of changing their roles. A lot of guys probably don't understand that, how hard it is to kind of change your role when you're a lead guy on the team, or you're a 1 or 2 or even a 3, third option, and then you have to fight your way back and try to fill a different role. That's difficult. Was that something that Lance did as well for you guys, or what was your experience with Lance as well?
Yeah, my first conversations before we drafted Lance, it was all about, okay, where are you at in your career? Where do you see yourself going, and how do you see yourself being of value to any NBA team that's willing to bring you on? And he was like, Coach, you know what, man? I just love hooping. Like, whatever you guys ask me to do, I'm going to do it. And, you know, if you want me to be a leader in the locker room, I'll do that. If you want me to score points, get buckets, I can do that. If you want me to defend and get guys off, yeah, I can do that as well. And so I think his open-mindedness of understanding where he was at in his career allowed him to have success with us and our team. And, you know, he worked. Like, you know, I don't know what the perception was of him throughout his career, you know, somewhat of a showman, somewhat of a guy that didn't really take the game seriously. But when he came here, he knew like this was one of his last opportunities to play a game that he loved. And, you know, he was a professional, like to the ultimate level. He was a professional. He came to work early. He stayed late. He watched film and he became a student of the game. And I think that's why he was able to get the call up. And, you know, they gave him a guaranteed contract for the rest of the season. And you very rarely see that. You know, usually it takes 2 or 3 10-day contracts to attain that contract for the rest of the season. But right away, he got a chance to go and almost have a fresh start, so to speak, in Indiana.
Yeah, that's you know, that's a big ups to you for you know, helping him get on that path, and happy to see him being successful and doing his thing again in the league. What are your goals for your squad for the rest of the season, man? Like what are your target goals? What do you guys have on that board, that vision board that you're looking at for the rest of your season?
Man, health is wealth, man. We have to get healthy. I mean, I just lost 3 guys to injuries. A couple may be out for the season. So, you know, in the G League, we only have 10 active guys on our roster at all times. So you take away 3, so now that's 7. And then we had a veteran in Kenneth Fareed. He's out for the season, so now we're at 6. So we're really like scouring the player pool to see if we can find anybody of some service. You got any jump hooks in your game left?
I got 2.5 minutes a quarter for you. I got one jump hook. I don't know if that's going.
Man, if you go in the player pool, I'm picking you up, and then I'm gonna put my name in, and we can go back to the old school 2-man game like we used to run.
Hey, we can do that all day. I'll kick it out if they double. You already know that.
for a hot 2 minutes.
Hot 2 minutes.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, earlier in the season, let's talk a little Arizona now, man. Earlier in the season, I mean, we kind of did a preview of what the Cats were going to look like, what we thought their season would be like. I mean, it's exceeded all that. I mean, from the beginning of the season till now. What's your thoughts on the team, on how they've been playing, and, you know, what Coach Lloyd is doing over there, and just kind of the whole state of the program right now?
Well, I tell people all the time, like young people I train, my guys on my team, it's like when you put the work in, it gives you the ultimate confidence to go out there and compete and perform at a high level. And these guys are guys that I coached, Sean Miller and us, our staff, coached last year, and they never missed a 6 a.m. workout. Yeah. Like all those guys, Dalen Terry, Ben Matherin, Kirk Creasa, Zulis Tabelis, Christian Coloco, those guys were committed to the process. Now, they didn't get instant results. You know, they had their ups and downs and their struggles through our season there last year. Disappointing, didn't get to play in the tournament. You could see the motivation that they have this year, and that's because they put the work in, they bonded together, and they understand, like, listen, man, we're going to cherish every moment out here, and we are going to compete. When Tommy Lloyd took over, his preseason workouts, man, the offseason workouts, they were so competitive. You know, just building that environment and building on the culture that was created before he got there, and not trying to, like, change everything up, I think has made the trend list for them. And they're playing as well as anybody in the country, and they've done it consistently all year. So there's no doubt in my mind, or anybody else's there should be, that this team can't go all the way and do what we did 25 years ago. The last game against TCU, as you know, in the tournament, you're going to be tested. Yep. They answered the test. They got it right. They aced it. They went through adversity. They fought through. They got the victory in overtime on to the Sweet 16. And the one thing that I always said, and I realized when we went through this journey, is like, they're humble, man, but they're confident. Yes, and that's how we were. Like, we were confident as anybody, but we also were humble to know, like, okay, there's another round coming. We enjoyed our success. Like, we celebrated like nobody else. But when it
Yep.
was time to take care of business, get on that plane and get there and do battle, like we brought it. And that's what I see in this team, man. It's just a hell of a characteristic to have. Big ups to Tommy Lloyd and the rest of the staff, Murph, all those guys, man, they are doing a hell of a job. And, it just makes you proud to be a Wildcat.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm feeling the same way, man. We're talking to everybody. Everybody's, so excited about the way that the guys have been playing and the style of basketball that they're playing this year. You and I got to spend a little bit of time, with two of the guys that were the biggest, keys to victory last game against TCU.
Right.
And Ben Matherin and CeeLo. And was sitting there talking to them before the season. I don't think they even knew, what was coming and what this has turned into. So talk about that a little bit, just knowing Ben. And I'm looking at Ben, I'm like, he might be the best player in the country right now. I don't see anybody else that I really take over him, at the guard position anywhere in the country. And the way that he's playing, the confidence he's playing with on the offensive end, the way he's expanded his game. Like, talk a little bit about him and his progress just from when you had him, until what you're seeing now.
Well, I'll never undervalue like that dinner lunch that we spent over there off of Grant, man, at that Jamaican restaurant with those two guys. And it kind of reminded me of, how we were brought up, when Ben Davis and Khalid and Damon and those guys would take us out, Corey Williams, Joseph Blair, when they would take us to dinner, talk to us about life, talk to us about the game, to get better. And, you could see those guys in their eyes, like they were hungry for it. And they really appreciated that. And I talked to Ben and CeeLo, maybe once or twice a week, just via text message, just tell them how proud I am of them. Keep going. CeeLo, defensive Pac-12 player of the year. Ben, AP All-American, second team, all Pac-12, Pac-12 player of the year. Like, the work that he put in, though, it doesn't surprise me. He has the body of Michael Dickerson, the jump shot of Mike D, the ability to just take over a game, man. And then he has the competitive spirit. Like, when you watch him compete, like, there was 2 plays against TCU where I was like, no, he's the best guy on the floor, period. Yeah. He got the offensive rebound, snatched it, and got the and one.
Yeah.
And then the ferocious dunk when he went up top on the big man. Like, I mean, plays like that's elite. Like, that's pro level type plays. And, we better enjoy this kid while we got him.
Oh, yeah.
He only got about 4 more games left in an Arizona uniform because he's going lottery. He's going top 10. I would say top 5 if I had to choose. But I'm proud of him. CeeLo as well, man. Who knows what CeeLo is going to do, but his future's so bright, man. I just hope he continues to play with the edge and the confidence in which he does, man. What about those free throws from a guy that's a career 60% free throw shooter? Like, he's playing at an all-time high level. Very similar to like you did, man, in our runs. Like, that center position at Arizona has always been overlooked. I mean, we just now started getting some hype, but what you guys did was just so valuable to the success of our team. And CeeLo's doing exactly what you guys did 25 years ago. You, Gene Edgerson, Donnell Harris, Bennett Davison, like, very, very critical to our success.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I mean, CeeLo is playing at such a high level, man. And, we'd already kind of seen that in him. And now, when that light turns on, just like it did for me, when that light turns on and you get that confidence and, you get your strength up and you're aggressive in there, it's a joy to watch, man. I've just been, so happy with the progress that he's made this year. And so the next game, I don't know if I know you're doing your own thing, so I don't know if you've seen Houston at all. I've seen Houston a few times this year. It's going to be another rough one. But, what are your thoughts on how far we can go, baby?
just close to the Houston program as well. Kelvin Sampson, he's kind of like a mentor to me. And Kyler Edwards, I coached him in 7th grade in Dallas. He went to Texas Tech and then he transferred to Houston. He's having a phenomenal senior season. And so these guys, when you watch them play, man, they play like the old Arkansas Razorbacks. It's like 40 minutes of hell. Like, they're all over you. They are all over. They're undersized, they're scrappy, but they understand that they got to play extremely hard because they're not as talented as these other teams in the country, but they make up for it with heart and with just fierce defense and tenacity. But what I will tell them is, like, you better pack your lunch because Arizona got that same ferocity in which they play, and they do it on both ends of the floor. Like, as fierce and intense and as fast-paced as their offense is, if you watch the defensive intensity of like a Kirk Kriisa drawing charges, Ben Mathurin getting up into ball handlers, and then if you get through that, now you get to the basket and Christian and Zulus is there to change your shot, and Big Ballo, man. What about Big Ballo?
Big Ballo,
over the
man.
years? Yeah, they just doing a hell of a job. So it's gonna be a heavyweight fight. I'm ready. I got my cat socks on. I got my blue game shorts ready to go,
yes,
baby.
Sir.
It's on tomorrow. I wish I could be in San Antonio, but we got practice. But if they win this one, I'm gonna try to catch them Saturday in San Antonio. So, we'll be rooting our heart out tomorrow.
Absolutely, man. I know you're gonna have that uniform on, going hard, man. Just
yes,
like
sir.
you always.
Yes, sir.
One other guy I want to ask you about, then I'll let you get out of here. I know you're busy tonight, but is Dalen Terry, like his progression, because he's one of the guys that I look at that's taken a huge jump in his overall game. And we talked about him. We were in Tucson before the season about his potential, and I see him starting to get there now. So talk a little bit about him too, and what you think of his progression this year.
He's just the heart and soul of the team, man. He's just an unsung hero. They'll never draw up an ATO for him or give him the ball in the last seconds to get a bucket, but he does everything. His impact on the game doesn't show up in the stat sheet, and it reminds me a lot of, my run, after I took the role to come off the bench and just be, star in my role. Dalen Terry stars in his role every single night. He brings the intensity. He brings the passion. Like, he would have fit so perfectly on our 97 team and 98, even 99. I mean, just the way he plays the game. You could tell, like, he enjoys basketball. Like, he loves it to death. And I tell you what, man, just watching him, he was another one. Like, he never missed. He never missed a 6 a.m. workout. It's unbelievable. That's a kid, Sack, I tell no lies here. He was doing 3-a-days in September, October, November, even late in the season in February last year, because he got something on his mind where he's trying to go, and he knows if he don't put the work in, then it's not going to work out for him. And so when you see a kid, put that much into something, you can't help but to root for him. Yeah. He has a great family, mom, dad. And I tell you what, he got 2 little killers. Tommy Lloyd better go ahead and get that offer ready. He got 2 little brothers, man. They play with the same arrogance and confidence as Dalen Terry does. So, no, you got to be a Dalen Terry fan, man, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. He's one of my favorite players, man, on the team. I love all these guys, in their own way. But DT is definitely, special and a key to their victories, all of them, really, all season long. He'll continue to do that. So, well, Sax, I appreciate your time, man. I know you're busy. We want to get you on, get your thoughts on the season. Congratulate you on your run so far in the G League. Keep that going, brother. And hopefully we'll be talking after this tournament and reminiscing on our championship and then the new champs, man, if we can get that done.
Listen, man, this is going to be the 25th anniversary. Tell wifey, man, look, man, we got to get down to Bourbon Street if these boys do it. When these boys do it. When these cats do it, we got to get down to Bourbon Street. Fire up that cat passion.
Sir.
Hey, enjoy the moment, baby. Enjoy the ride.
I'm all the way in, baby. Let's make it happen. Okay, man. I'll talk to you soon, man. Appreciate you.